Hello everyone, welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays, and now that I've changed my shirt and tried this recording a couple of times, I'm feeling a little bit better about it. So, today we got a lot of things to talk about on the JP side and global people. I will do your video right away, talking about Xeno and Axstar, which I think is really important, but before we get into all the stuff about JP with the latest JP update, I want to talk about a longtime player that I have never heard of before. You know, when you work a full-time job as well as do this YouTube stuff on the side and you just want some relaxed time in your free time, it's kind of hard to just go watch all the other videos and hear about everybody else who does the game too. But anyway, so I'm going to give a shout out to Sugaki, a Reddit user who brought this post to the attention of the Reddit community. And I want to give a shout out to Lee Liam, because you know what? As far as quitting this game lately, you've heard that just JP players are absolutely beyond frustrated. Well, Lee Liam is a long-time JP player. I do believe he is quite possibly started playing the game around day 0, from what I read. That may or may not be true, but the point is he's a long-time player. He's been playing the game for a long time, and he quit because of the Luna Freya banner and basically the underhandedness of it. Not so much that it was that the step up was so bad, but it sounds like it was a lot more about just how Alum has been treating their customers lately. And I have a video about this, and it hasn't been uploaded yet, but it'll be uploaded this weekend. Anyway, I gotta give a shout out to just how spectacularly he quit the game. Basically, and I assume it's a he because, again, I haven't really watched the video, but too busy. Gotta say, selling off all the characters, the abilities, his equipment, everything, I gotta say, that is a fantastic flaming fuck you. And given that he is one of the more prominent JP whales, maybe this will finally get Alum up off their lazy asses and see if they have any intention of actually being halfway decent. I wouldn't count on it. So with that being said, big shout out to him, big shout out to Sugaki for bringing this to my attention, as well as other people's attention, and let's talk about the JP news, shall we? So, yes, JP has gotten its update, and with that comes the Madame, the character who has been in the game for a while and is kind of gained a little bit of just a popular following because she's been just such a badass. She's just part of side content. We've been trained to just know that if a character is in there for an important side event, probably a powerful character. And so we got today's Madame's details, but we also got details about the event, and I do want to preface this video with another big warning. So first of all, talking about the free unit, woof. Not a good TMR at all on it, not even really worth farming, so it doesn't even matter. I guess you get it for free, but it's probably not even worth the inventory space, which is the accessory: 3 attack, 1 defense, 10% MP and spirit, and 10% dark resistance. Big old pile of meh. Accessory and a hat from the event, and the event itself, you know, your basic 8-stage story event with the extra stage as well. Pretty standard at this point. No redesign on the event yet. The extra bosses follow, first being a demon, second being a aquatic, and third being a beast. Part 2 is basically your farming event, and of course the the enhancements are available now, so if you're a Kurosame fan or a Makini fan, I guess you can upgrade them, but I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. Okay, so let's talk about Madame, because Madame is a pretty cool unit. As you can see by her Limit Burst sprite, she is just all about Earth and doing powerful things. And yeah, she's got a cool sprite. Of course she does. And the ways that you can get her are either via Step Up Banner or Special Bundle. The Special Bundle is 10k Lapis, where you basically get a 11 pull, a guaranteed 1 copy of Madame, 5 tickets, a whole bunch of item world potions, which are essentially just meh. I mean, really, I know it seems important if you don't have them, but eventually you get to critical mass and it doesn't matter anymore. And 1,000 trust coins, which is also pretty meh, too, unless trust coins are going to get some bigger reward in the future. I don't know, just doesn't seem that great. As for the step-up banner, the step-up banner is a 15, has an extra step to it. No free step this time. You got to work that extra step so you can get to step 4 where you get a guaranteed rainbow. And step 6 is your Madame guarantee. But yeah, it just seems a little bit expensive. But the big preface that I want to put on this is that apparently somebody's been doing some data mining, as we all know. It's not official data, but it should be a big warning, because it seems that there is a part in the data that is, well, it's not what, it's kind of just this placeholder, and that's a big warning sign. The placeholder could end up being another unit, it could be another banner, it could be Xeno. It could be that Xeno from the global side is being added to the JP side, maybe for consistency across both versions. It's really hard to tell exactly what it is, but I'm not saying that Madame that there won't be another popular unit added, yes or no. It's just kind of weird to see this data added in the game with very little about it. It could be Arden too. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but Alan might be up to something a little bit shady, so keep that in mind for anybody on Global or JP who's spending resources. That's the big red flag, I find. So we've done event details, we've done the big red flag, we've done the spectacular display. Let's talk about Madame, and I have to make a correction because I was an idiot. I didn't read this TMR properly, but the way it seemed like when I was reading it was that it was one or the other. I never thought both for some reason. Maybe I'm just tired. Anyway, Trust Mastery, 30% attack regularly, 20% extra when equipped with the gun, 20% when equipped with the fist. This is a very specific TMR for especially the Madam, as a lot of units, guns and fists are not something that would be normally available to a ton of units off the top of my head. So yeah, it feels mainly for her, and it's a 70% attack up, so definitely trying to, you know, lure some people in, trying to get this TMR. And it's a solid TMR. If you're going to go ham on the Madame is going to go ham with this TMR in hand. Duh. Anyway, Super Trust Mastery is 55 attack, 10 defense, piece of clothing, 100% stop resistance, 30% attack when equipped with a fist. As I've said, this is this flat just beats Luna's Super TMR. Is it really worth going for? A lot of units seem to either have charm immunity or stop immunity. This completes the Madame's kit quite nicely, so if you're wanting to make this just the central unit of your team for a long time in the future, yes, the Super Trust Mastery is really nice for her. For others, yeah, it's just a solid for any attacker. That's basically kind of its position. Looking at the Madame, of course, the Madame has a pretty solid kit. I don't think the Reddit page is available, but focusing on attack, fairly high amount of HP, good defense, not so great in the spirit category, fair amount of MP, and yeah, like her attack is the big thing. Weapon selection is daggers, swords, great swords, katanas, axes, hammers, spears, whips, projectiles, guns, flails, or fists, and obviously fists and guns will be your big thing. Finding a specific gun, really, I mean, there's Faceliths, as well as the Icebird Kai trial if you're looking for something really strong. In the fist, Algae and Kai, probably that would be basically her best setup for equipment. Seems fine. Going to her limit burst, maxed out AoE 7-star, attack of 13 hits, 1500% physical attack, ignoring 50% defense, and a self 200% modifier on a whole bunch or on, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 abilities permanently. And that's the thing. So Madame ended up being a chainer with chain finishing abilities that is more along the line of a CG Bartz. What does that mean? Well, her buffs that she can give herself in her kit are basically permanent. Once they've been activated, they will be there for the rest of the battle until she dies, and that's a big asterisk, because if she dies, you will have to spend time resetting it up, same as Bart's. So yeah, she's a little bit of a kind of Regina character, but with more chaining options, as well as permanent buff styling of someone like Bart's, which is an interesting combination, to say the least. The limit burst here is 13 hits, which is a very odd framing, so it's probably only going to be her, and it's probably really weird frames too. So definitely herself or no one else for chaining. Looking at her passive, she has Petrifying Confuse Resistance, HP and MP bonuses, dual wield naturally in her kit, so that does answer the question of what she is. She is a true dual wield unit. She gets bonuses when to defense, depending on how far her HP falls. If her HP falls below 26% and she doesn't die, she gets a 200% defense increase. Also, I don't see a turn limit on it, so could just be permanently, which is interesting. Again, she seems to have really nice defensive stats, but not so nice spirit. So if the enemy is a magical based enemy and you don't have protection, that might be the real danger of her dying. Bonuses for equipping guns and fists in her kit, 7% MP per turn. Looks to be a total of 100% true dual wield in her kit. Natural charm immunity when she gets to a max 7-star. When her HP falls below 26%, she also gets a 200% attack increase. Again, seems like it is permanent. Yeah, just seems permanent, so okay. Might not be permanent though, so don't exactly quote me on that, but I can't see in the data where it doesn't say that. Limit burst per turn, W casting in her kit. She has the chain increase for true dual wield, which is super important. So that will make her a really good chainer, more than likely. She actually has the ability, a 100% chance to ignore 2 fatal hits when her HP is above 1%. So that makes it a lot easier to survive and get those permanent buffs going, so great. And yeah, that's basically all of her passives. They are solid passives in her kit for sure. I don't really have any complaints about the passive. She has her dual wield, she has the dual wield chaining bonus. He doesn't really have a lot of attack up passives in her kit, but given her TMR, doesn't really seem to matter all that much. I think she'll be totally fine with or without it. But having the chain cap increase is important, because looking at the rest of her kit, she has chances to stop enemies with certain attacks. She has an AR chaining ability, so she can double cast that. Pretty nice, gotta say. I always like AR chaining. You guys know me. She has a 10-hit, 270% physical attack that debuffs AoE for... Oh, sorry, it's an AoE hit, 10 hit as well. That is an 80% Earth debuff, as well as giving her Earth attack. Earth is very clearly her element, and her only element. With dual wield, she can potentially wield multiple other elements, but Earth is her big one. The rest of her attacks are free from elemental, so yeah, it's imbuing herself and then go kind of thing. An AoE 10 hit that's pretty weak, but ignores 25% spirit, also gives a self 50 MP recovery. A 10 hit that also gives a self revive at 25% HP for 3 turns with a 2000 HP barrier. That's kind of cool, because it is essentially it's a pretty damn weak attack, but giving the self revive as well as the 2000 HP barrier, it would revive her directly below the limit, so she'll just essentially drop down, get her buffs, come back up and get her buffs, which is a really cool way of doing that. She also has a dark... Oh, sorry, I missed this earlier when I was reading through. Derp. Anyway, she also has an AoE 10-hit dark attack, so I guess Earth isn't her only element, and it adds dark to her attack for only 3 turns, though. So Earth gives 5 turns, Darkness gives 3 turns, and I do believe that in the rest of her kit, Let me just double check before I make a fool of myself twice in one video. Yeah, she can only debuff the dark element for 120% or she can only do earth resistance down 120%, not darkness. Darkness only gets 100%. But interestingly, with that AR chaining and being able to imbue darkness on herself, she could chain with Nagi's dark AR chaining. Finally, Nagi has a friend! And after I quit the game. Anyway, moving on. She has her big debuff, which is consistently accessible, so she can basically always have access to 120% Earth debuff, which is pretty damn strong, on a backloaded chaining hit damage, which is really nice. Into her cooldown abilities, she has one that is available on turn 3, available turn... On 3 turn cooldown, available turn 3. Sorry, my brain is just kind of dead after a long week. Stronger backloading chaining damage with ignoring more defense, and gives a 300% permanent modifier up to some of her abilities. Her next cooldown is available turn 6 and on a 6-turn cooldown, which is a stronger 10-hit chaining ability, ignoring 50% defense with higher modifiers. That gives a 300% modifier bonus to some of her abilities. And then on turn 9, on a 9-turn cooldown, you have a 9-hit ability 10-hit ability with higher modifiers that ignores 50% defense. You kind of understand here. Basically, and then her best one is on turn 12, on a 12-turn cooldown, which each of these gives a 300% modifier up and just consistently gets a stronger and stronger attack. So she builds really powerful by the end of it with an incredible modifier. However, should be noted that if she dies at any time, and it seems like her kit is basically to keep her alive, you're going to be resetting at turn 1. So keep that in mind for the end part of this review. She has just a general, fairly strong, accessible, backloaded chaining damage that has, ignore the 50% defense and gives a modifier up to itself of 450%, so you use it one time, it's weak, the second time, it's much stronger. But her big ability, the big final thing to talk about, is her last ability, which uses I do believe all of her Limit Burst crystals, 38 of them, to fire off a one-shot, powerful attack with a 8,000% modifier on it. Pretty damn strong. It is just really, really powerful. That is her kind of capper off. It is, after you want to use her Limit Burst at least once, so that you can get the bonuses from it, and then afterwards you're only going to be using that cap for whenever she gets full Limit Burst, which could be fair often. I mean, she has things to do on her turns off that are not her Limit Burst, and they are good things anyway. So yeah, she is basically a Stardust Ray Chainer with the capping power of kind of Noctis or, some of the other characters out there. So that's basically the Madame. But yeah, let's talk about this overall, because the Madame's kit is very complete and very strong and very thorough. She has lots of ways of keeping herself alive. She has ways of giving herself buffs. She has guts. She has natural dual wield. She has a dual wield chaining cap. She has 2 different elements. One that she can debuff for 120% regularly. One she can debuff for 100% regularly. But all of this really pales in comparison to just how powerful she can be over 12 turns. Over 12 turns, you're going to be getting a lot of power out of her. But the big problem is if she does die. If she does die even once, you're back to step 1. So you have to be very careful using her. She is a undeniably powerful character. If you're asking whether or not she's more damaged than Noctis, I don't think it really matters. This is essentially feels like a different unit than Noctis, because Noctis really didn't have great chaining options, but the Madame does. She has a lot of Stardust Ray chaining. She has double elements. She can actually use her, with that chain cap increase, she can use her chaining abilities much better than Noctis can. So, and she has a really strong capper anyway at the end of it. So yeah, the Madame is very powerful. This isn't any kind of a surprise. If you didn't get Noctis and you're salty about it and you want to spend some money to get a brand new capper as well as Chainer who's very powerful, then the Madame is definitely it. The kit, I mean, there is the bundle for 10k Lapis which guarantees you one of her. Getting the second of her might be a little bit more difficult, but the Summon Festival does give up rates, so best of luck to you. So yeah, the Madame, a very powerful character, especially once she gets going, but if she dies, it's back to square one, and 12 turns is a long time in a lot of trials. Especially in trials where you're trying to beat a 20-turn timer. Anyway, that's all. See you in the next video. Global people, you know what I'm going to be talking about next. See ya!